You're right on time for Hope TV Newswatch on this 26th day of August 2024. A very good evening to you and welcome to the broadcast. Tonight, I'll be hosting the CEO of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, that is FCS, Jeremiah Karanja, MBS, as we discuss matters church and governance. Also, allow me to kindly apologize for the quality of my voice tonight as I am currently battling flu. My name is Kimani and signing for us tonight is Boniface Moridi. Now, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers have carried out demos today, insisting that they will remain on strike until the government meets their demands, despite the Kenya National Union of Teachers not calling off the strike. The teachers want full implementation of the 2021-2025 CBA agreement and also want the government to employ intern teachers on permanent and pensionable terms.
No student will come in this school. And from here, we are moving to other schools to ensure that all the schools are closed. And teachers, this is the advice I'm giving to you. Do not go to schools. Do not move around the schools. And parents, know that teachers are on strike. Do not take your children to school at the moment, because nobody is going to take care of them. What teachers want is this. 1, confirmation of 46,000 interns. 2, the promotion of 130,000 teachers who did the interviews. 3, the CBGs to go so that they have to build back the old system of promotions. 4, what we want is now that all government officials who are earning more than teachers, if they can be able to perform the duties the teachers can do, like the police officers who are given the money, let them go to schools and teach. But schools, nobody as a teacher is going to close. And right now we are moving to all schools. We've come to Bungoma High. We are proud to see that there's no teacher inside here.
We have advised them with all due respect, and they have promised us they are closing. We have come here to do a ceremony. We are closing this school. From here we are going to Cardinal. And we are told there are fellows in Chwele meeting. We are going there.
Oh my God.
We are going around schools to make sure that our centers of learning are closed.
All right, and now we go straight into our interview. As I said earlier on, I'm interviewing the CEO of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, that is FCS, Jeremiah Karanja, MBS. And allow me to apologize for the quality of my voice tonight. As I said earlier on, I'm currently battling flu. Karibu sana to the studio.
Thank you.
Kindly, just briefly introduce us the concept of governance within the context of church leadership and why it is really essential for churches today.
Thank you. The issue of church governance is a matter of how the leadership of the church is organized in terms of the structures, the policies that have been put in place, the procedures to facilitate effective decision making, because the church is an organization like any other organization, and therefore for effective decision making there needs to be order.
All right.
Yes.
And as the CEO of ICS, that is the Institute of Certified Secretaries, could you provide an overview of what ICS is doing, particularly in promoting good governance?
The Institute of Certified Secretaries is a statutory professional body, meaning it's created under an Act of Parliament, Cap 534 of the laws of Kenya, and our key mandate is to promote governance. And we promote governance not only in private sectors or public sector, but we also promote good governance even in church institutions. Just to give an example, you may be aware of Code of Ethics and Conduct developed by Hesabika and other church institutions, and which the Institute played a central role. Actually, majority of the committee members were members of the Institute. So that is one of the key contributions that we have played in promotion of good governance in churches. Secondly, we, in partnership with other institutions, we have constantly been holding programs, trainings, capacity building, just to build church institutions and other religious institutions on matter governance. So that is one of the items that is key on our to-do list.
All right. And churches are the last place where
Yes.
you're supposed to find leadership wrangles, and unethical practices. How can certified secretaries assist in such issues?
Three things that are a major challenge to churches in Kenya today. One is the issue of money. Christ said that you cannot serve two masters. You either serve God or money. Unfortunately, some of our churches, not all, actually majority of them are doing very well, but some of the churches we have, the primary goal is making money. And the mission of the church, which is clearly stated in the Bible, to reach out, comes second or even is non-existent. Number two is the issue of politics. Church has become a political entity, either as an instrument for use by government or even within the church itself. The way even we come up with our leadership and all that, you cannot tell the difference between politics in the church and outside there. But also number three is what I would call self-centeredness. That some of our churches rotate around one person, one individual. He is the Alpha and Omega in that church, if you may say so. And therefore, instead of focusing on Christ, they focus on the individual. So one of the things that engaging a certified secretary would help, certified secretaries are trained on matters, governance, ethics, integrity, compliance, and they help in putting in place the relevant governance structures, the relevant instruments, for instance, church constitution, bylaws, board charters, and the relevant structures such as a board, because to eliminate that aspect, for instance, of self-centeredness, where everything is rotating around one person. Certified secretaries can help you put in place an effective board, which then will be advisor to the pastor, for example, so that as he executes his role, his mandate, he is not doing it alone, he is doing under support of other people. So to answer your question, how can certified secretaries help in this? Churches or even institutions of whatever nature who engage professionals, they benefit because these professionals have been trained, they are regulated. For instance, for certified secretaries, they are regulated, and therefore, if the services they are offering don't meet the required standards, somebody can report them to the Institute of Certified Secretaries, and you are able to take disciplinary measures against them. So that is a great benefit to a church.
All right. And why is it crucial for churches to establish clear governance structures, policies, and procedures?
Because the Bible says in the book of 1 Corinthians, I think 14, verse 49, that everything should be done in proper order. It is very important that the church be orderly. In fact, the whole of that 1 Corinthians chapter 14 is about how the church should be organized, the order that should be there in the church. And therefore, it pleases God when things are done in an orderly manner. So governance come to bring that order, that you are able to know for sure this is how issues are handled in this church. This is how conflicts are handled. The law is not in the head of one person. It is actually written down. You have bylaws or a constitution. You can determine how do one become a member of this church, how can one be exited, including the pastor himself, that he is not all in one. There are proper checks and balances, and therefore should this person, because he is a human being, should he fall short of the standards that are set in the church guidelines, then he can be held accountable. And there is an organ which holds that pastor accountable. So I would say the reason why we require these governance policies and structures is to help the church to be effective in its mandate. Because in absence of that, then what you have is chaos. In absence of that, what you have is what we are seeing today in some of the churches, where they have been instruments of exploiting Kenyans.
Like the Shakahola massacre.
Yeah, the Shakahola massacre. And you know, the Bible, Jesus said, I think it could be Matthew 9:42, that whoever who causes in one of these to stumble, then it is better stone be put on his neck and thrown into the sea of fire. So if the church or the leadership in the church is causing people to lose faith in Christ, then it's very unfortunate that the church should be the one leading people to hell. It's actually assisting the devil in his work. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
As a country, we've had a leadership problem. And I guess that's why the Gen Z took to the streets, to call out bad governance.
Yeah.
And, as ICS, how do you contribute to mentoring this next crop of leaders who are going to take over from the leaders that we have today?
At the Institute of Certified Secretaries, we have established what we call GEM, Governance, Ethics, Mentorship, and Internship Programs. And what we do, we take, every year, we take around 100 young people. We take them through a governance and ethics, mentorship and internship program, where we are able to provide them a platform where they network with other established professionals. This is also for purposes of role modeling, because in this country, there is a wrong belief that if I see you driving a Mercedes, you must have stolen. So we want to show them there are actually people who are successful in this nation while they are held in integrity. So that is one of the contributions we have put in place. We also sponsor these young students and young members into programs for mentorship, for training, and also we help them to secure internship so that they can gain experience on matters governance and ethics.
Okay. And how can churches ensure there is effective succession planning for leadership? Because you've seen many churches, not many, but some instances where there's actually leadership wrangles in churches.
Yes, the challenge sometimes we have in churches is I think we have leaders who want to be like God. They are the same yesterday, today, forevermore.
Yeah.
And you find this leader. I was actually interacting with some leaders, and they told me, I sold off what I had to buy a piece of land to build this church. So when it has grown, you cannot start telling me to bring in place other leaders or rather a church board or something like that. So we see people sometimes taking church as a personal investment.
Oh, yeah.
The same way I would start a business, I have put in capital and I expect return. That is what some churches do. And when you have such kind of scenario, then you don't expect succession planning. However, just as Paul charges Timothy, the things that I have spoken to you, entrust them and teach to other faithful servants. It is expected because a leader will not last forever. It is expected that they put in place mechanism to ensure when they exit the stage, there will be people who will take over from them. And sometimes why they fear leaving or exiting the stage is because they also don't put proper mechanism to take care of the exiting leaders. For example, most of the church leaders, when they retire, if you are the pastor, maybe you are using to get in offerings and tithes. Once you retire, there is no mechanism of taking care of you.
Yeah.
And therefore you want to hold there forever because that is your source of revenue.
Oh, yeah.
But if we put in place mechanism, for instance, retirement packages, pay for them NHIF, insurance policies, that are able to sustain them post-retirement, medical covers and all that, then this minister, this servant of God who has given all his efforts to this church, will be willing to gladly retire because, retirement is not the end of it.
Yeah, and it's quite unfortunate that many actually treat this as a business, as a career instead of a calling.
Sure.
Well, you see, Jeremiah, many people are watching us and they're wondering who are certified secretaries and what do they do? Kindly explain to our viewers.
Yes, certified secretaries are professionals who are trained, they are examined, they are certified, they are regulated on matters governance, matters ethics, matters integrity, matters compliance. For one to be a certified secretary, you have to register with an examination board called CASNEB, Kenya Accountants and Secretaries Examinations Board. You sit for an exam called Certified Secretaries Course. Previously, it used to be called CPS, Certified Public Secretaries. Once you finish the exam, which is a very friendly exam, is only on matters governance. Once you finish the exam, you are registered by a board called Registration of Certified Public Secretaries Board, which is a board at the National Treasury. And then you become a member of the institute. Once you become a member of the institute, then the Institute of Certified Secretaries regulates you. So certified secretaries are professionals, and they offer their services across various institutions. We have, for instance, in state corporations, we have positions of corporation secretaries. In county public service boards, for example, we have CEOs and secretaries to county public service boards are supposed to be certified secretaries. All public entities under the Companies Act are required to have a company secretary. Churches are also encouraged to engage certified secretaries as their board secretaries. So certified secretaries offer all those services, and therefore we encourage all institutions, whether small or big, to engage services of certified secretaries, and one does not have to engage them on full-time basis. If, for instance, is a small institution and you may not afford to retain them as full-time employees, there are certified secretaries who offer their services on part-time basis, and they offer their services across a wide range of the institutions. And therefore, if you just engage the institute, we are able to refer to you members of the institute who are able to offer those services of governance.
All right. Yeah. And talking about Societies Acts and other laws of the country, why is it important for churches to comply with this?
The Bible has charged us in the book of Romans, that Romans chapter 13, that we obey authorities which have been put in place, and therefore a church, like any other institution, is under the authority of the laws of the land. So churches are registered under an act of parliament called Societies Act. The Societies Act sets the basic legal framework for any church to operate. And in that act, for example, you see basic things like all churches are supposed to have annual general meetings. They are supposed to maintain a register of members. They are supposed to maintain a register of their officials. They are supposed to file annual returns every year to the Registrar of Societies. That is part of the obligation as a corporate citizen of this nation that you are supposed to meet. And therefore, the government can actually register a church which is non-compliant with not only the Societies Act, but even other laws of Kenya, because there are various other laws, including the labor laws. For example, how do you treat your employees? They given a salary within the minimum provided wage bill or wage laws. There are other laws, for example, you are supposed to be providing statutory deductions, NHIF and NSSF and the rest. If you are not compliant as a church, then the government can register you. But also secondly, even in addition to failing or not fearing necessarily legal action, we are supposed to be the light and the salt of the world. And therefore, if we are telling the rest, then we should be in the forefront of complying. And these are some of the services that our member certified secretaries can support churches, because as a pastor, I don't have to keep on worrying which requirements do I need to oblige to. However, if I engage a professional, that is part of the work they will be helping me on a day-to-day basis.
All right.
Yeah.
You've talked about the church being the salt and the light, and you've seen the Gen Z protest, and actually tomorrow there's actually a planned demonstration that is supposed to happen, and we've seen the church being blamed for being silent. I mean, how can the church address these concerns and remain relevant and impactful in the society?
First is becoming a good example. And sometimes we generalize things and say the church has not been a good example. That is not true. There are many, many, many good churches in this country who have done a lot of good things. Unfortunately, we only highlight the negative. And that is the unfortunate state of affairs in a society. Today, whatever good thing you are doing, nobody will notice. But if you do just one bad thing, then everybody will be highlighting that. So there are many churches which are doing the right thing. However, we have a few who unfortunately have brought a bad reputation to the body of Christ. And that has brought what I would call trust deficit, because the society or a portion of the society can no longer trust the church. In fact, a few years ago, if you were attending an interview and you said you are a born-again Christian, maybe that would have earned you the job. Today, if you mention...
The opposite.
People view you with that. Because of that trust deficit that we are suffering. So the first thing is for the church to be the salt. We need to put our house in order. We need to have leadership structures and policies that work. And we need to be example. What we preach on the pulpit, we need to practice it, because if it's true that this country is 85% Christians, and then we are seeing the corruption that is happening on day-to-day basis, then there must be either a problem with this Christianity, either Christianity does not work, or is the people who profess the Christianity, whatever they are professing as Christianity is not the real Christianity. So until we address those issues, then it becomes a challenge. But number two, we need to be engaged because we are in this world, but we are not of this world. So while we are in this world, we will face issues that people who are in this world face. And we cannot run away from them just thinking about heaven while you are here in the world. Because sometimes I think it's an escapist kind of approach when we just want to focus on heaven where you are going. The kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven is actually established here on this earth. And that is why God has put us here. If the focus was only in heaven, you would be getting saved today, then you are shot dead to go to heaven. But the reason why God has put you here is to change and impact the world. And therefore, the church needs to be involved in real issues affecting the society. And I know there are many good churches which are doing that. Whether it's in policy, we need to know which are the laws coming up, and we contribute to the same. Whether it's, for example, what was happening in the nation the other day, we need to have, actually that should have been driven by the church. The book of Micah, chapter 6, talks about the need of justice, to ensure that justice is done. So we are charged by the same Bible to ensure that what is fair is, and the problem we have in this nation is that unfortunately most of us, not everybody, but most of us, I would say they are thieves without opportunities. And therefore, even those ones who are they are busy criticizing the government, it's only for them they have not gotten an opportunity to steal. But if they get that opportunity, then you wonder whether it's the same person who was professing Christianity, because it is only an opportunity that was. So we need also to have what I would call an ethical revival, a renewal of our morality as a nation and as a people.
Thieves without opportunities.
Yeah.
That is so funny and so true and sad truth, by the way. As ICS, we actually have the Champions of Governance Awards. Talk to us about that.
Yes, the Champions of Governance Award is an award where we normally go assess institutions. In short, we call it COG Award. We send accredited governance auditors to institutions, including church institutions, to go and assess how their governance practices, their policies, their structures are, and give them recommendations on how they can improve the same. In this, to the best of my knowledge, the only church institution that has ever won an award is CITAM. And I want to encourage church institutions to participate because it's not a condemnation. We'll come and assess what are you doing and what do you need to put in place. Issues of accountability. Do you keep books of accounts? Do your members know how much money you collect, or is it a secret of the pastor? Issues of transparency. Do we know how people are recruited in your organization? Issues of ethical practice and ethical leadership, issues that we have talked about of succession planning. Do you have a policy in place to ensure that we know this is how we get our leaders, this is how they exit, or are board members there in perpetuity forever and ever? So we come and assess that and then give you recommendations on what you need to improve as an institution. So we want to invite not only church institutions, but even small businesses, big businesses that may want to benefit from this. We will set qualified governance assessors, and this program is sponsored by the Institute. So the fee you pay is very minimal. Just to meet the transport cost. Everything else, most of the other costs have already been footed by the Institute and its partners. And it is going to be very beneficial as you compete with other institutions. We will have our award ceremony. We call it the COG Award Gala Dinner on 30th of November this year. So the assessments are currently underway. And should one be interested, they can contact the Institute or visit our website www.ics.ke where they can get more details and we'll be able to assist them.
All right. So allow me to sample some of the questions that you're getting from our viewers. Number one is, how involved should the church be in matters politics?
As I mentioned earlier, one of the challenges that we have in this nation, the church, is politics. Yet we need to be involved. And how we need to be involved? We need to be involved to provide leadership as a church, to hold the government accountable. Unfortunately, our involvement is usually not in that way. Our involvement in politics is where politicians come on Saturday, they give us donations, we clap for them, and if they have given us those donations, then we worship them. We cannot even hold them accountable. And then I wonder, where does this verse in the Bible that says that when you give with your right hand, your left hand should not even know? How does it apply? Because this person who have come with 1 million shilling in the church and is projected all over. So how will we even hold, if whatever he is doing is not correct, how will we hold them accountable? So our involvement in the church, of church in politics, unfortunately, has been more money-centered. It has been to fundraise for the church, which is very unfortunate, instead of holding government of the day accountable.
Another question, talking of money, how best can churches develop systems that can govern money used to avoid misuse?
One of the things, and as I mentioned earlier, the Institute of Certified Secretaries, we have been involved a lot in capacity building for churches. We have been training church leaders and all that. One of the challenges we have found is that quite a number of churches have no structure whatsoever. So that offering is given on a Saturday, and immediately after the offering maybe is counted and money is distributed. This one is for the people who are cleaning. There is no process. However, we normally encourage them, have a process. Once money is collected, all money should be deposited in a bank account. When you want to use it, you can have what we call impressed system. For example, you withdraw the money that you need to use for that week, and then it's properly accounted for. You keep proper books of accounts and let your members know. That information is not a secret. It should actually be published either on your website or find mechanism on your notice board or in the pastor's office. Members should be able to inspect, and actually that is a requirement of the Societies Act. Is already a legal provisions on the same. Members should be able to, because when you are transparent on how you use money, actually you attract more resources. But when you are opaque, when we don't know how you are using the money, then we fear giving you more money because you have not accounted for us how you used the previous.
All right. Another question here. Do you think the church's influence in governance is increasing or decreasing? And what factors are contributing to this shift?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there seems to be a significant decrease in terms of the trust that people have on the church. A few years ago, if the pastor said something, it became law. But now, as I mentioned, even in our workplaces, in our workspaces, sometimes even if you are a pastor, you don't want to associate yourself with that. And that is a function of trust, because unfortunately, trust takes a lot of time to build. And you put a lot of efforts to earn that trust. But it will only take 1 second for it to be lost. And to repair it takes years. So we must guard that trust. And part of why our influence have reduced is we have abused that trust. And therefore we need to rebuild the trust. And we need to rebuild the trust by doing all the things we have said, putting proper governance and leadership structures and policies and procedures, and be accountable, be transparent to the people that we are leading.
Maybe the last questions from our viewers, and what is the space of faith in governance? Pastors employed to pray for the nation. Will these employees of the government hold it accountable and call out bad governance?
The place of faith in governance. Actually, when we talk of governance, part of the feedback we have been getting from some of the church leaders when we are training them, some of them tell us that this subject is a worldly subject. Why do you want to bring worldly principles in the church? And I keep on referring them to the Holy Book. It has a lot of reference to good governance. In fact, it's not any different from what we call the fruits of the Holy Spirit. It's the same principles. So the influence of faith in governance is one. If we are a good example, then we are able to hold the government accountable and the leadership accountable. The reason today it's very difficult to hold the leadership accountable is because, as Christ said, you cannot go and remove a speck in your brother's eye when in your eye you have a log. So if we try to tell the government A, B, C, D, they also remind us, we also know what you did or what you are doing. You have not been following the law and all that. So we need first to be good examples. But also secondly, we need to speak out. We cannot be silent when we are seeing things are not happening the way they are supposed to be happening. The church must be the voice. The church must air any ungodliness that is happening, must stand up, must be courageous, and stand against any ungodliness, and not only in the nation, but even in the very basic units, starting from our families, because that's where it starts. Unfortunately, sometimes the faith we confess just ends up in the church. Once we get out of that door, that is it. After a powerful sermon, you meet a policeman and you give him 200 shillings because of traffic offense. So we need to change that culture. If we do, then we will not only have redeemed our trust, but we will pull many to Christ, but also in addition, we will change this nation. Because this nation, unless we do something very drastic and change our way of thinking, our way of behavior as a people, then unfortunately we don't have a very good future as a nation. And that's why the church must be in the forefront to advocate for what is just, for what is right.
All right, as you conclude, I mean, what advice will you give people who are looking for a career as certified secretaries?
Certified secretaries, as I mentioned, they are professionals who are trained on matters governance.
Yeah.
And the advantage and disadvantage when there is a lot of misgovernance in the country is also advantage to those who offer those services.
Oh, yeah.
Because it means there is work for them.
An opportunity.
There are opportunities for them. So there are a lot of opportunities on matters governance because of the prevalence of misgovernance. And one who is looking for a career in governance, I would encourage them visit the website of CASNEB. If you just Google CASNEB, you're able to see how you can do the exams. Or visit the website of the Institute, www.ics.ke. You can also write to us, info@ics.ke. We can provide you with more information. But also secondly, not only those who are looking for careers in governance, but those who are running institutions.
Oh, yeah.
May they be churches, may they be church institutions, may they be businesses. I also want to encourage you to engage the services of a certified secretaries to offload you the burden of compliance, the burden of good governance, because good governance pays. And we have seen that even in the corporate world, when you compare institutions which are well governed vis-a-vis those ones that are not well governed, the bottom line tells it all. But also, in terms of sustainability, we have seen big institutions in these countries, Nakumat and the likes, institutions that you would never imagine would collapse. They were brought down by bad governance. So even as a church, for you to be sustainable, engage a governance professional. And finally, on that is to say, it is very important we learn the practice of appreciating professionals. If today you went to the airport and there are two airplanes which are parked there, and one of them is being flown by a pastor who is tongue speaking, but who has no flying experience.
Yeah.
And another one is being flown by a guy who has never gone to church, but is telling you he has flown for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will be more comfortable, even if you are a pastor, you'll be more comfortable using the guy who is experienced on matters flying.
Definitely.
The same way we are saying, if you are a church, consider having your board secretary as a governance professional, a certified secretary, who can help you in putting policies, structures, and procedures in place for sustainability of your church.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
That has been Jeremiah Karanja, MBS, the CEO of the Institute of Certified Secretaries. And my take home is that good governance pays.
Yes.
And let us not be thieves without opportunities. Yes. And with that, we come to the end of our discussion. Time now for a short news break. But immediately after, I'll be back with more news. So see you on the other side.
Hello there, praise the name of the Lord. My name is Evelyn Wanjiro. To get Naiwe Maombi as your skiza tune, SMS skiza 8830022 to 811. Hope Skiza, spreading the hope.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Sindio?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcasts?
Really? Even Meet of the Wild?
I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
Aya, I'm not go TV stream. It's free. Go TV stream iko mkononi na ni free. Download Go TV Stream app for free. We enjoy live TV na shows kamia nane. Download and watch later, anytime, anywhere. Go TV Stream iko mkononi na ni free. Available to active subscribers. Go TV, love it.
Rafiki soul is the promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki msoul.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, President William Ruto has announced plans to incorporate basic firearms training into the future training of the National Youth Service officers. Speaking today when he presided over the 88th NYS Recruits Pass-Out Parade in Gilgil, Nakuru County, the head of state said that the move will be key to ensuring that the NYS officers are well prepared to safeguard the country when the need arises.
The minister responsible for National Youth Service, who is here with me, should, in consultation with the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Interior, further the initiative to make sure that the paramilitary training that these young men and women go through will include a basic course in firearms to make sure that they stand ready to protect the country when the need arises.
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has assured governors that the government is committed to hastening disbursement of allocated funds to counties despite the prevailing financial challenges. Speaking on Monday when he chaired the 24th ordinary session of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council at his official residence in Karen, the Deputy President said allocations for the last financial year had been fully disbursed, revealing that the National Treasury is working on clearing the pending monthly allocation. Ian Githuku with more.
In a move to strengthen cooperation between national and county governments,
the Deputy President
Rigathi Gachagua led the Governmental Budget and Economic Council Fund (IBEC), focusing on resolving delays in authorizing fund withdrawals from the County Revenue Fund (CRF) and enhancing integrated county revenue management system.
I'm pleased to note that the Controller of Budget developed a draft circular to inform the consultations on the requirements for approval to withdraw from the county revenue funds. These guidelines will be presented here today for your review and further guidance. During the extraordinary session, we made significant progress regarding implementation of the integrated county revenue management systems. It was resolved that counties will continue to maintain and operate their existing revenue systems while the National Steering Committee finalizes development of the new system and corresponding regulations.
In his opening remarks, Gachagua addressed the ongoing issue of pending bills, emphasizing it is a significant concern at both the national and county levels.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as you are all aware, the rejection of the Finance Bill 2024 and its eventual withdrawal by His Excellency President William Ruto has presented both levels of government with unprecedented challenges in terms of fiscal space. This resulted in critical fiscal documents being withdrawn, while some at various stages of parliamentary approval. The voice of the people of the Republic of Kenya has been heard, and we must work collectively to move forward. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to keep ourselves updated on the progress of key pieces of legislation, we have included a presentation from the Office of the Clerk of both Houses of Parliament.
On his end, Kakamega County Governor Fernandez Baraza also highlighted the county governments have been forced to borrow from banks to finance the operation and pay salaries.
Our situations in the counties is quite pathetic because most of the operations have really come to a halt. They've been affected, negatively because we are not able to pay suppliers. Other counties, of course, like Kakamega, we've just borrowed money from banks for 2 months to pay salaries. So that cash crunch is a reality, and it's one of the issues which we canvassed. And there's a commitment from the CS National Treasury, plus one of the legal framework to release 50%.
As the discussions continue, the outcomes of this deliberation will be crucial in shaping the financial stability of the county governments and ensuring the uninterrupted delivery of essential services.
On the screen,
reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, Mason Lowell.
My apologies, the previous story was done by Mason Lowell and not Ian Githuku. Thank you so much, Mason, for that report. And to some business news now, Absa Bank Kenya PLC has announced a profit after tax of 10.7 billion shillings for the first half of 2024, which is a 29% increase from last year. This growth was driven by strong revenue from all the business areas, with total revenues rising 16% to 31.8 billion shillings.
We've seen customers shying away on long-term borrowing, term loans. Those ones have come down. And so the numbers you're seeing here, slight drop, but as our MD is saying, gross lending within this period is 68 billion shillings. So while it shows a small drop compared to the previous year, the churn there is quite high. And it's simply because of what I mentioned, preference for short-term lending at this point in time.
We see customer numbers continue to grow. This is a lead indicator for sustainable growth in our revenue and in our balance sheet going forward. 33% growth in new to bank customers, whether they are coming through our existing channels, branches and the legacy channels. And in corporate, we continue to become the primary bank for more customers every year. 29% increase in what we call primacy, which is we measure how many of our corporate customers primarily bank with ABSA only.
And to some sport in action now, Gor Mahia secured their place in the second round of the CAF Champions League after a resounding 5-1 victory at home against South Sudan's El Merreikh Bentiu at the Nyayo Stadium on Sunday. Nyayo National Stadium on Sunday. The record Kenyan champions had to come from an early goal down with goals from Chris Ochieng, Alpha Onyango, Alphonse Omija and Rooney Onyango's late brace, securing the win which earned them a 5-2 victory on aggregate.
Cheza naye Austin, tafuta Samuel Kapeni sasa. Kapeni Samuel nao. Kapeni Samuel kwa Rooney. Rooney Onyango! Yes! I love you guys! Atafutwa Kapeni, pasi nzuri. Samuel Kapeni anasubiri. Tafuta Rooney!
Well, with that, we come to the end of our news tonight. Many thanks to you for making time to watch Hope TV Newswatch. We really do appreciate the value of your time. On behalf of the amazing team that made this bulletin a success, have yourselves a blessed night. My name is Kennedy Kimani, and signing for us tonight has been Boniface Morethi.